10 Lost Civilizations of America that vanished without a trace. Before Columbus ever set sail, this land was already ancient, filled with lost cities, sacred monuments, and civilizations that vanished without a trace. Each discovery challenges what we thought we knew about history and reveals how much still lies buried beneath our feet. This is Ancient Dilemma, uncovering the secrets of America's forgotten past. Subscribe now and join the journey, because what you're about to see will change the way you see history forever. 1. Cahokia, the lost city of the Mississippi. 1,000 years ago, near today's St. Louis, a vast metropolis flourished. Cahokia was no small settlement. It was North America's first city. Around 1100 CE, more than 30,000 people lived here, making it larger than London or Paris at the time. At its center rose Olmec Mound, a 100-foot pyramid built entirely of earth, 14 million baskets of soil stacked by hand. Around it stood wooden palisades, plazas, and ceremonial posts that tracked the movement of the sun like a giant calendar. Recent archaeological scans reveal that Cahokia wasn't isolated. A vast network of rivers served as prehistoric highways. Objects of copper, mica, and shells show trade stretching from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. One timber post found on site, the Mitchell log, was cut in 1124 CE from a tree over 100 miles away. Moving that 5-ton trunk without wheels or beasts of burden demanded enormous coordination. Then, around 1300 CE, Cahokia collapsed. Drought was long blamed, but new soil analysis found crops continued to grow. Instead, signs of political and religious turmoil appear. Mass graves in Mound 72, filled with young women and warriors, perhaps sacrificed in rituals gone too far. Social unrest and ideological fracture may have ended America's first metropolis. Even in ruin, Cahokia challenges every assumption about who could build cities and how advanced the first North Americans truly were. 2. The Anasazi Disappearance. Cities in the cliffs high in the mesas of the Southwest. Stone dwellings cling to canyon walls like nests of an ancient civilization. The ancestral Puebloans, often called the Anasazi, engineered hundreds of miles of roads, irrigation, and astronomical observatories centuries before Europe's Renaissance. At Chaco Canyon, great houses like Pueblo Bonito contained hundreds of rooms and rose 4 stories tall. Their doorways aligned perfectly with lunar and solar events, suggesting a mastery of the heavens. Yet by the 1200s, something went terribly wrong. Entire cities were emptied. Families moved into fortress-like cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde, 600 feet up sheer rock faces, as if seeking safety from unseen enemies. Tree ring data confirms a 23-year mega-drought. But new excavations reveal something darker. Mass killings, burnt rooms, and bones showing cut marks consistent with cannibalism. One fossilized feces even tested positive for human muscle protein. Grim evidence of desperation and societal collapse. By 1300, the great pueblos were abandoned. The survivors migrated south and east, becoming the ancestors of today's Hopi and Zuni. Their oral histories speak of leaving when balance and harmony were lost. The Anasazi story is a warning. Even civilizations in tune with nature can fall when nature and humanity turns against them. 3. The Great Serpent Mound. A message from the sky. In southern Ohio, a colossal serpent slithers across a ridge. From the air, its 1,348-foot coils form a precise pattern, its open jaws poised around an oval egg. Built around 1070 CE, atop a prehistoric meteor impact crater, the Serpent Mound aligns with the solstices and lunar standstills. The head faces the summer solstice sunset, The tale, the winter sunrise. Some researchers believe its builders witnessed the 1054 supernova or Halley's Comet and shaped the serpent as a sky map. No graves or treasures lie within. The entire monument is the message. A fusion of astronomy, geometry, and spirituality. Ground-penetrating radar shows the serpent was built in stages, implying centuries of observation and rebuilding. At summer sunset, the sun descends exactly along the serpent's open mouth, a spectacle that must have united entire communities in ritual awe. The Serpent Mound is not just art. It's evidence that ancient Americans studied the cosmos with precision rivaling any Old World astronomer. 4. The Grand Canyon Cave, a legend. Too good to die. In 1909, an Arizona Gazette article claimed a Smithsonian-funded explorer had found a vast underground city in the Grand Canyon, complete with golden idols, mummies, and hieroglyphs. No such expedition ever existed. Yet the myth persists, feeding endless speculation. Why? Because the Grand Canyon does hide thousands of real caves, only a fraction explored, and native traditions describe emergence from an underground world. The Hopi speak of Sipapuni, the sacred portal between worlds, located within the canyon itself. There's no Egyptian city. But archaeologists have found genuine prehistoric storage chambers, split twig figurines, and signs of habitation reaching back 4,000 years. The hoax endures because it touches something true. Beneath our feet lies a hidden world of human and geological history, still largely uncharted. 5. The giants of ancient America. Throughout the 1800s, newspapers breathlessly reported giant skeletons, some 10 feet tall, dug from mounds across the Midwest. The race of giants became national folklore. Modern science has found no physical proof. Most were exaggerations or misidentified animal bones. But the deeper story is revealing. Many early settlers refused to believe indigenous Americans built the monumental mounds, so they invented an extinct superior race to credit instead. Recent DNA and isotopic studies prove the mound builders were ancestors of today's native nations. Some individuals were unusually tall, up to 7 feet, but human nonetheless. The true giants were their achievements: astronomy-aligned earthworks, continent-spanning trade, and a heritage of engineering ignored for centuries. 6. New England's stone chambers, temples or cellars. Hidden among New England's forests are over 800 small stone chambers, roofed with massive slabs, half-buried, aligned to cardinal points. Locals long called them root cellars, yet some align precisely with solstices. At one Vermont site, a beam of sunlight on the winter solstice illuminates a carved niche exactly at noon. Others form complex sight lines, matching the Pleiades rising. Carbon dating from a few sites suggests construction ages older than colonial settlement, though still debated. Whether built by early colonists with ancient European masonry traditions or by indigenous peoples for ritual purposes, these chambers demonstrate an enduring human urge to shape stone with meaning. The mystery isn't only who built them, but why so many were built with such precision, suggesting a sacred landscape stretching across the Northeast long before modern mapping existed. 7. The Mississippian Mound Builders, America's hidden empire. From Wisconsin to Florida, mound cities once dotted the continent. One of the most astounding was Spiro Mounds in Oklahoma, the spiritual and trade hub of the Mississippian world. In 1935, archaeologists uncovered a sealed chamber filled with thousands of artifacts: pearl necklaces, engraved shells, feather robes, copper plates embossed with winged beings, and pipes carved as humans and animals. Some items contain traces of cacao, imported from Mexico, proving contact that spanned half a continent. For 350 years, the Mississippians maintained stability with outstanding armies. Religion, art, and trade were their unifying force. When droughts and political shifts fractured the network around 1450, cities like Spiro and Moundville declined. But their symbols of the sun, serpent, and bird still appear in modern tribal art. The Mississippian world was America's forgotten empire, peaceful, intricate, and vast. 8. The crystal skulls, beauty and deception. Few artifacts capture imagination like the crystal skulls, clear quartz crania said to hold ancient power. But modern microscopy reveals rotary tool marks, proving most were crafted in 19th century Europe. Yet one truth remains: the fascination itself is ancient. Across Mesoamerica, skull imagery symbolize life's cycle, sacrifice, and rebirth. Walls of real skulls, tzompantli, stood in Aztec temples. The crystal skull legend simply recast that reverence into Victorian fantasy. The real revelation lies in why the myth persists. Humanity craves tangible mysteries, proof that lost wisdom once existed. These skulls are mirrors, reflecting not lost gods, but our own yearning to connect with something greater. 9. The Olmec Colossal Heads, faces of forgotten kings before the Maya, before the Aztec. The Olmec thrived along Mexico's Gulf Coast between 1500 and 400 BCE. They carved enormous basalt heads, each a portrait, each unique, weighing up to 40 tons. Transporting them required hundreds of workers, hauling them nearly 100 kilometers from volcanic quarries through swamps and rivers. Laser scanning reveals each face was once part of a larger rectangular monument, probably royal thrones, later recarved when new rulers rose. Some heads were deliberately buried, perhaps as ritual deactivation of ancestral power. Their expressive realism shows the first true portraits in the Americas. They stare back across 3,000 years, daring us to remember that civilization here began long before Europe's dawn. 10. Paquimé, the desert city of parrots and pyramids. In northern Chihuahua, amid desert dust and mesquite, stand the ruins of Paquimé, also called Casas Grandes. Between 1200 and 1450 CE, it was a thriving crossroads where northern Pueblo culture met Mesoamerican civilization. Archaeologists found multi-story adobe buildings, ceremonial plazas, and ball courts identical to those of Mexico's great cities. Most astonishing, vast aviaries containing the bones of scarlet macaws, tropical birds bred here 1,000 kilometers north of their native jungle. Their feathers were exported to Pueblo temples in what is now New Mexico. Paquimé's people mastered desert hydrology. Canals and reservoirs fed crops and supplied homes with running water. They smelted copper, carved shelled jewelry, and mapped their city along cosmic axes. One mound even shaped like a serpent, another like a bird. When drought and trade collapse came, the city was burned and abandoned. But in its ruins lies proof that cultural fusion once linked the continent from the jungles of the Yucatan to the cliffs of Colorado, from the shadowed ruins of Cahokia to the windswept walls of Paquimé. We've journeyed across a continent that was never empty, only forgotten. Beneath every hill, every canyon, and every forest lies proof that this land once thrived with science, faith, and wonder, long before recorded history dared to notice. They were astronomers who charted the heavens with stone, engineers who built cities that breathed with the rhythm of rivers, artists who carved their kings into mountains of basalt, and storytellers who left us symbols so powerful they still speak even when their languages have died. The more we uncover, the more we realize history isn't a straight line. It's a circle, one that keeps drawing us back to the same questions. How much have we truly lost? And what if the greatest civilizations are the ones we've already forgotten? Each buried temple, each broken carving, and each legend handed down by the tribes who remember whispers the same truth. The story of the ancient Americas is far from finished. This is Ancient Dilemma, where the past refuses to stay buried. If this journey through forgotten worlds stirred your curiosity, subscribe and join us again, because our search isn't over. The next mystery waits beyond the horizon, and together we'll uncover it, one lost civilization at a time.